Why I started using cocaine. When it came down to my drug of choice was cocaine. I was an addict for a very long time. My drugs of choice were alcohol and cocaine. But why I started using cocaine wasn't because it was something that I literally had seeked out. It was something that it was the right time at the right place. Just the stars aligned, unfortunately. When I ended up using cocaine, I'd used it originally when I was in high school, and people don't realize what peer pressure is like. Peer pressure is not like you think of in the DARE program, all of that. Peer pressure is your friends just like, dude, here, just do a line with us. You want to fit in with your friends. You don't want to say no, and you want to have a good time. And it's your friends are the best salespeople, and you don't realize that. So you end up doing some. And so I had done some in high school, but didn't hit me the way that it did later on. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. Later on in life, at right around 23, I was going through a divorce. I was just losing my house. I was losing it all, man, 22, 23. My wife had told me that I was an alcoholic even, and I was going to AA at the time. And I ended up having this relapse happen. And I was with a friend, and we were at a dive bar. And he's like, hey, let's get a bag. And I'm like, you know what? All right, fine. Let's get a bag. And I hadn't done coke since high school. And next thing I know, we're in the car. I'm at the point of going through a divorce. I'm losing my wife. I'm losing my house. I'm losing everything, man. I lost my job, and I just got a new job, and I'm not happy. I'm depressed. I'm just really struggling a lot mentally. And we get a bag, and we're out in my car, and we bust it out on a CD case, and I did a line, and it hit different. And that was the oh no moment. And when I did that line, for the first time, all of a sudden, through all of this, at one of the lowest points in my life, I felt unstoppable. I felt motivated. I felt energized. I felt all my anxiety go away, all my depression go away, all my fears go away. I felt like I could come out of my shell. I felt like I was strong. I felt amazing. And that was the scariest thing ever. That is when I got hooked. I will never forget that feeling that night of when I was at such a low point that all of a sudden this pulled me immediately out of this low point and into this high point of feeling unstoppable. And it was like, oh my goodness. And I had fun that night, and I hadn't had fun for months. And we had fun shooting pool and drinking, and I went home, and life was a party. And I felt like this was part of that key thing too, of like, man, why hadn't I, done this? And the stigma around cocaine is that it's not a dangerous drug, that it's a weekend party drug, that, you don't see cocaine addicts under the overpass with needles in their arm, ODing. You don't see it like with meth addicts and their face all destroyed and meth mouth. You see famous people doing cocaine. You see rock stars doing cocaine. It's glamorized in the movies. So this is safe. And I literally bought into that stigma. And to the point that all of a sudden it started to slowly become a part of my life, of my happiness, that I was thinking that I needed this for happiness, and a part of my self-medicating too, because I realized that when I would do cocaine while drinking, it made me feel like I was sober all of a sudden. I could drink more, not realizing when you do mix alcohol and cocaine in your system, it actually creates cocathylene, which is a very euphoric chemical in your system that is actually very dangerous. That puts you in a lot more risk. You end up drinking a lot more. It's a very scary combination. It's to me, is one of the most dangerous combinations that you can do. But at the time, I'm thinking that it's sobering me up, and I just feel like I am unstoppable. And to the point where I could ration and budget it at first, but then it got slowly to the point that it became a key component into every weekend I needed to do this, and every week it slowly faded into I needed to use this also. And that is the scary part about it, of when you do really get roped in and hooked into addiction. And you don't realize, that's the stigma about addiction, is a lot of times people are like, oh, you're going to use it and then you're all of a sudden hooked to it. No, addiction is sometimes this slow rope and process. And you don't realize you're an addict until you're too far. You don't realize that you've lost control over something until you've went too far, and how dangerous this really is. I mean, if you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button, comment down below, because everybody that I've ever talked to that is an addict and has went through addiction will tell you that this was a process that you literally essentially wake up at one day realizing that you have burned your life down around you. You have lost everything in your life. You've lost jobs. You've lost relationships. You're homeless. You're losing your home, whatever it might be, going, how did I get here? Because just a little while ago, this was a party and this was fun. And now all of a sudden I'm alone, broken and defeated by myself. And that is the scary thing about addiction, is you don't realize how it slowly rots away at your life, and it progressively gets quicker, faster, and harder, to the point that literally everything in your life has been burned to the ground. The only thing I can say though, thankfully, 7/25/17 is my sobriety date. And for a lot of us, thankfully, we do hit this point where we do hit that rock bottom and realize that, we have literally lost everything. And maybe if we change this, life will get better again. And you start putting in all the energy and effort that you did into getting high and being an addict into getting sober. And that's where your life really starts to change at. And we all get sober different ways. I mean, some of us get sober through rehab and through inpatient, through outpatient, through treatment centers, through therapy, through psychiatrists, through our doctor, through NA, through AA, and combinations of it. And there is no wrong or right way to get sober. You got to just find what works for you and giving it all that intensity that you did getting high into getting sober. And believe me, you will find your way, but it's giving it one day at a time, giving it everything that you can, having a support network around you, and knowing that you got this. Every single day has to be your biggest focus of just making it through sober. And it does eventually start to get easier. It's not overnight. You don't heal from this overnight. It is a process, but it's a process that you can win and that it does get better. So for the ones that are going through it right now, I am proud of you, man. Don't give up. Find your way. It's trial and error to find out what works for you. You got this.